Welcome to the Breaking News Bears podcast. I'm your host, Chris Capone, joined alongside my co-host once again, Evan Davis. And as of the day of recording, we are officially into May and one full calendar month into that 2025 MLB season. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to look at some free agency deals and see how some of these players looked in their first full month with their new teams and give our opinions on these early returns. And speaking of early returns, we'll be discussing the disastrous Rockies' first month of the season and how they have a chance to potentially have a worse season than the 2024 White Sox. And we'll also be discussing the Mariners' power surge, bringing the boom and strong start to the season. If they have a really, if their lineup has really started to mash, and they've still decided to pitch really well, even without George Kirby, their ace. So first, we'll talk about the beginning uh, of these returns on some of these early free agents. We're going to talk about Max Fried, signed a huge 8-year deal, $218 million with the Yankees early in the offseason at the winter meetings. And, he's looked okay in his first full month as a Yankee. Uh, some of his numbers across the board have been okay. He had a no-hit bid broken up by a scoring change uh, 2 starts ago against the Rays in George Steinbrenner Field. But yeah, so far start of the season, he's been the Yankees' ace due to the loss of Garrett Cole, and it's been a kind of a mid start for him.
Yeah, I think you look at, Max Fried here, and I still don't know how the contract's going to pan out. 8-year deal for someone who's 31 years old, especially as a pitcher, don't know. Uh, Obviously, like his numbers are great. The baseball savant page will tell you a different story, but that's just because he's more of a ground ball pitcher. Everyone kind of knows that. It's more the walk rate people focus on, and it's under 6%, which is really, really solid, especially for a lefty. But I mean, dang, where would the Yankees be without Max Fried right now? They haven't lost a start, or he hasn't lost one of his starts yet. And he kind of just does enough to get by, which, like, in the regular season, it's totally fine. Like, as long as you get a win, I don't really think it matters. I mean, unless you're doing fantasy baseball, but uh Max Fried, that's been a pretty solid signing and now a very one that was more of like a cool 1-2 punch, and now it's like, no, we need you to be like our everyday ace.
Yeah. It's really been important for him to be, this consistent this early in the season. With like I said, without Garrett Cole, and they've kind of needed that. The rest of their starting staff, as we've mentioned in a previous episode, is kind of suspect. Like you have Carlos Carrasco, Will Warren, Carlos Rodon. You never know what you're gonna get. Right now, he's leading the American League in strikeouts and strikeouts per
Hmm.
nine, but
Hmm.
he's also leading the entire league in hits per nine. Like you never know what you're gonna get. With Carlos Rodon? Is he going to give up uh like is he going to get shelled? You never know. There's days where he'll get shelled and give up
Hmm.
6 runs in 2 innings, and then he'll still pitch the 5 innings and it'll look fine, but you just never know what you're going to get. And that's why Max Fried being this consistent this early on in the season has been so important for them because you really don't know what you're going to get with the rest of the staff.
Yeah, and that's kind of like like again, Rodon looked phenomenal in his last start against the Baltimore Orioles, carried a no-hitter into like the fifth inning or something like that, fifth or sixth inning. But you look at the depth chart and it's like, you got Cookie Carrasco and you had Marcus Stroman, Clark Schmidt's coming back. Like, just not a lot of great names. Like, the starting pitching on this staff is fairly weak, and I think it was pretty evident, in the World Series last year where it was like the Yankees had to win both of Garrett Cole's starts, and that unfortunately that didn't happen. I believe they lost both of those starts, and it really just leaves minimal room for error with this team, and that's why you're seeing like 18 and 13, yes, whatever, 5 games above 500, okay, but it's not what you would be expecting or liking to see from a team that just went to the World Series to be 18 and 13 right now. It's just not really all that impressive, and they've had a rough stretch here for these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's really just been this entire also the end of the bullpen for the Yankees has been a problem with Devin Williams struggling mightily. We came into this year and we were like, Devin Williams is an elite closer, and he has been for the majority of his career. except for the postseason series against the Mets, where he basically lost in the series, giving up that meatball to Pete Alonso
Yeah.
that gave the Mets the lead in the series pretty much. And since then, he's had some really tough outings, and I still think he can turn around. His stuff is still good. It's
Hmm.
just right now he's getting mashed, and this happens sometimes with closers going to new teams. I remember Josh Hader to start last year was
Yeah.
he got mashed, or
Hmm.
it always seems like whenever a closer goes to a new team, they get mashed in their first couple starts.
Yeah.
Um, and that's or not first couple starts, but first
Yeah. You
couple
know what
save
you mean.
opportunities, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but I
Yeah.
think Devin Williams will still turn it around. But yeah, it's been a rough go for him. But someone who's not been having a rough go is Alex Bregman.
Yeah.
Uh, the really late signing, going joining the Red Sox, supposed to be as their second baseman, but because of an injury to Rafael Devers, he wasn't able to play third. So they said, "Oh man, that sucks. We're gonna have to put Bregman at third."
Yeah.
And now even with Devers playing again, he's still just going to be the permanent full-time DH. But
Hmm.
yeah, Alex Bregman has looked elite in his first stint with the Reds, or the first calendar month with the Red Sox, already amassing a 2.1 WAR,
Yeah.
7 home runs in the first month so far.
Hmm.
He's looked incredible to start the season, and he's literally been the exact missing piece that the Red Sox needed
Hmm.
coming into this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when Alex Cora just took a baseball bat and drilled Rafael Devers in the knee,
Yeah.
and for what? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, you're right. I just think like the one concern I have with the Red Sox, but again, it's more about Alex Bregman. I feel like not your maybe casual fan knew that this was going to be a great signing, but like the people that pay attention to baseball pretty extensively knew that this was going to be a great signing. I think more people were just like, damn, 40 million a year. Like we're talking top five, like AAV for a position player, but I mean, he's surely hitting like it. You look at it, the 7 home runs, the 24 RBIs. He's batting 328 on the year with an OPS just shy of 1,000. I mean, he's not striking out a ton, only at 19%, but he's also not chasing out of the zone. Like he's making pitchers work. And sure, his X batting average is 267. A lot that just has to do with playing at Fenway Park, but that was why so many people were like, Alex Bregman to Boston makes so much sense if he doesn't stay in Houston, because in Houston you had the Crawford boxes out in left field, and in Fenway Park you obviously have the Green Monster, which turns fly balls into doubles, and that's what Alex Bregman has been doing. It's been a lot of extra base hits, hence the high OPS. And what a signing it's been for the Red Sox. I mean, their record isn't that great, 17 and 15. They definitely need to pick things up again, but I mean, a heartbreaking loss
Yeah.
yesterday against the Blue Jays, but I'll look past that and look at, Lucas Giolito looked pretty solid in his first start in over a year or so. So I just think if Alex Bregman continues this, like the Red Sox could be a dangerous team come playoff time. If Garrett Crochet stays healthy, we know what Walker Buehler is like in October. If Lucas Giolito continues to pitch like a 3.4 ERA, like a 3.4 ERA, Tanner Houck, like they got some pieces where like I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled off an upset, but it all rides and dies with Alex Bregman, who has looked phenomenal.
Yeah, and you talk about it, their lineup top to bottom looks really strong, especially if they can keep getting this play out of Wilyer Abreu, where he's been setting the world on fire.
Hmm.
It would be insane for the Red Sox. And Rafael Devers had that really slow start where he went what, 1 for 19 or something, or
Yeah,
0 for 19 to start the season, and he
wasn't
looked
good.
atrocious. Uh Now he's OPSing one, or OPS plusing 122, OPS of 787. He's looked really good to start. When Connor Wong comes back and gets healthy, that'll be
Hmm.
something really important for the Red Sox. Carlos Narvaez being their everyday catcher is not he's although he's been serviceable, he's not supposed to be their number one guy.
Yeah.
But they have a really strong lineup, and this is with someone like Tristan Casas really struggling to start the year too.
Hmm.
Um, their entire lineup, top to bottom, is insane. Aroldis Chapman's still throwing 102 at 37 years old.
Yeah.
I don't understand how someone's left arm can be that powerful for for what, like almost like 15 years,
Yeah.
16, 17 years now. It's an
Yeah.
insane arm.
Hmm.
But yeah, Aroldis Chapman, he's been absolutely insane still going on. Christian Campbell's looked really good for them. But yeah, the Alex Bregman is the cherry on top where they go as he goes, and he's been going really good. And
Yeah.
he's going to end up being really good for the Red Sox in this 3-year deal.
Yeah.
Um, moving on, Nick Pivetta, one of the last, kind of noticeable free agent signings, signing with the Padres, a 4 years, $55 million deal with like the weirdest contract structure ever. Has looked really good for a Padres team that's really needed starting pitching with the loss of Joe Musgrove,
Hmm.
and he's been really solid for them.
Hmm.
OPS or ERA of 178, an 082 whip. He's looked really good for the Padres to start this season, and he's been really valuable to them as someone who thought, you know, he was going to be a qualifying offer guy, stuff like that. He got the money he got, and he's been kind of running away with it.
Yeah, and like even his like the metric numbers, like what an expected batting average of 213, like a 213 batting average is still very, very good.
Yeah,
He's striking out batters at nearly a 30% clip, a nice whiff rate as well. I I mean it pains me to say, but like this could be one of the best contracts in the MLB this season. Now again, we're only a month into it. You know, we've seen as much as we've seen pitchers struggle out of the gate with their new teams. We've also seen pitchers have immense success and then come back down to earth. So I'm not ready to like fully say that, oh my God, this is an amazing contract, but because it's an early return, it's looked pretty well. Um, Mark DeRosa, who I think is one of the best at analyzing the game of baseball, was pointing out how the San Diego Padres switched uh, the pitching stance of Nick Pivetta, and that's really helped him with his fastball and slider. But you look at this now, and it's like the NL West is a gauntlet, and if
yeah,
Nick Pivetta can keep this up, and you don't really know what's going to happen with Dylan Cease or Michael King. Like, are you willing to pay two pitchers in total like $500 million? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. So if Nick Pivetta could keep this up for the foreseeable future, I mean, this could be great. But as of this moment right now, like 5-1 with a sub 2 ERA, and I mean, he's had some really dominant starts.
yeah. It's really been kind of a thing that the Padres really needed this. The Padres really needed starting pitching. Without you, Darvish, to start the season, without Joe Musgrove, they
Hmm.
needed someone. I'm looking at their page right now. Did you know Randy Vasquez, their number four starter, has a 3.3 strikeout per nine?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that possible to have someone strike out that little.
Well,
Uh,
Sugano of the Orioles was like at that as well.
yeah, well, that's because the people knew that. Like coming
Yeah.
into the season, he was known as, hey, he was a ground ball pitcher in Japan.
Yeah.
He's not probably going to be a
Yeah.
strikeout guy. But didn't he strike out seven against the Yankees?
8.
Anyway, yeah. Anyways,
Hmm.
yeah, the Padres really needed this. The Padres really needed someone to start for them. They're starting Kyle Hart, who is, out of baseball for like what, 5 years, hadn't pitched since 2020, and now he's back pitching in MLB as a
Hmm.
starting pitcher, and
Hmm.
he's not been great, but that's what the Padres are looking for right now. They need someone just to give them innings,
Hmm.
that isn't their elite bullpen.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's looked really good for them to start this year.
Yeah, and you look at the Padres and I mean they'll have, barring any injuries, they'll be scary again. I didn't really think this offense would be as good as it was just after, losing Jerks and Profar and a couple other pieces and like you look at the lineup that cards that they post and it's like how does this team score 5 to 6 runs a game? Like it doesn't make sense. And they've taken a little bit of a dive. They did sweep the Giants over this past week, but struggled a bit against the Tigers, but again, it's like Nick Pivetta, like he's not struggling against some elite offenses.
Yeah. Moving on to our last free agent, we'll talk about, well, he didn't go to a new team, but he re-signed with his old. Pete Alonso has absolutely mashed to begin this year. And this was someone who, had a pretty long extended free agency as well,
Hmm.
where, there was thoughts that he might go to the Blue Jays, he might leave. He's looking like he's looking insane for the Mets right now. 2.1 WAR already this season that he's accrued. He only had a 2.6 WAR last year in 162 games for the Mets. He's looked like he's taken his postseason form and just brought it back into the new year. He has more walks than strikeouts, and this is Pete Alonso. This is a guy who
Yeah.
strikes out at an alarming rate normally. 172 strikeouts last year, 20 this year through the first
Yeah.
month of the season. He's
Hmm.
looked insane, leading the National League in doubles, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, OPS plus. He's leading in so many different statistics, and this is all for a guy who's pretty much on a bargain contract to go back to his home club.
Yeah, and I never thought I would be living in a world where Pete Alonso is basically like Juan Soto with a higher walk rate than strikeout rate. Like it's pretty incredible. And you look at it, I mean, he's hitting the piss out of the ball, and it's what
Yeah.
we're used to seeing of Pete Alonso. Now, again, it's a long season, but at the same time, like his baseball savant page is just stupid. Like everything within like the 95th plus percentile. You look at it, 1100 OPS, a 474 on base percentage. The 28 RBIs is top five in the major leagues, and it's a huge reason why the Mets are tied with the Dodgers for the best record in baseball. Because if you have Pete Alonso doing this while Juan Soto is kind of still finding his groove in New York, I know he just hit 2 home runs today, the day that we're recording this, but like this could be another legit offense, and it's a more scary team than last year because I don't think we expected the starting rotation to be this good. Now, again, it's a long season. We'll see how it plays out, but this offense could hang with anyone, especially, that top three of Alonso, Soto, and Lindor.
Yeah. Uh with the struggles that Juan Soto's had this or not struggles, but he just hasn't looked like Juan Soto yet. Only a 241 batting average.
Hmm.
And same also 23 walks to 20 strikeouts, but uh he just hasn't looked like the insane perennial MVP candidate as
Yeah.
he normally has, and he's still getting into it. Pete Alonso has been absolutely in nails for them. Like he's exactly what the Mets need to have this best record. Even Lindor had started off pretty slow to start the season. I think he was
Hmm.
having batting like through the first week and a couple maybe he was batting like 170 or something. Now he's hitting over 300.
Yeah.
The Mets really needed this. They need just he's just been mashing at every single point in the lineup, and this coinciding with their nails starting pitching has been such a great revelation for the Mets that they're basically getting everything they wanted to begin this year, except for
Yeah.
Juan Soto mashing. Like
Yeah.
that's the only thing that hasn't gone right yet.
Yeah.
You got Frank the Tank, the Mets fan, that's like calling him something. Oh, he called him. I forgot what he said something about Juan Soto when he dropped the ball and it was like they blew the game to the Nationals on Saturday or
Mhm.
Sunday.
Who
Uh,
knows?
yeah, he Juan Soro, I think he called him like something like that. But yeah, obviously it's only the first year of a 15-year deal. Uh,
Yeah.
we could have talked about him, but Pete Alonso is absolutely matched with the Mets, and they've looked insane.
Yeah.
And moving on, I guess we'll just talk about the complete opposite and someone who's been really, or not someone, a whole organization that's really been dreading playing baseball. The Colorado Rockies have
Oh.
started the season piss poor. They've been absolutely garbage. 1-14 on the road, a negative 77 run differential, and they're tied for the White Sox with the worst splits in baseball offensively. They have the most strikeouts in baseball. They've been walked the fourth fewest times. This entire team is just a factory of sadness. Coors Field, the beauty of the field and how baseballs go everywhere on this goddamn field it's been hell for the Rockies so far. It's been a factory of sadness. This entire organization is just in limbo. What do they do? Like no one wants to go there, especially no starting pitcher wants to ever go to Coors.
Hmm.
So they're basically screwed, and they've invested all this money into players like Chris Bryant, who just haven't stayed healthy
Hmm.
ever. Uh, and their entire organization is just like stuck. They're stuck in limbo, and they're in one of the most in the hellish, like the biggest hell of a division in baseball of being
Yeah.
in the NL West. Like you're never gonna be ahead of any of the teams ahead of you for the next what like 10, like 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
There's no path to see the Rockies going ahead of the Diamondbacks, Padres, Dodgers, or Giants. It's just basement dwellers for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And I think, you're saying like, well, what do they do? Well, I think you just got to get as much value for players as you can. And I'm looking, at Ryan McMahon, who has struggled like hell to begin this season. But I mean, where's the motivation to even show up to the ballpark for a guy like Ryan McMahon? Like he's batting 147 on the year, but he's a career 240 hitter. Like I don't think this is the Ryan McMahon another team would get. I look at a relief pitcher like Jake Bird, who's been absolute nails to start this year. Like those are two guys where it's like you just got to say goodbye to them as soon as possible because there really is no hope for this team in this season. And you just wonder, what do they do? And they have like a solid farm system, young up and coming players. You look at a guy like Jordan Beck, who has been really good this year, a 961 OPS, a 354 on base percentage. He's really been mashing over his last 7 games, 4 home runs. You look at a guy like Zach Veen, who's also really picking it up. But I look at another player, and I know he's young, but like Brenton Doyle, he's 26 years old. He's one of the best defenders in baseball out in center field. He's not matching your timeline. Like by the time the Rockies are good and competitive, Brenton Doyle's going to be 32 years old.
Yeah.
You might as well just trade these guys now. Like, what's the point of keeping them on this team? And you're basically eliminated already. Like, because you're not winning the division, and there's no way in hell you're reaching the third wild card spot. So if I'm Rocky's ownership and I'm the manager, I'm saying Brenton Doyle, you're gone. I'm saying Ryan McMahon, see you later. And I'm saying Jake Bird, see you later. Because I think a guy like Jake Bird, you could get a ton of value for because contending teams want relievers that are absolute nails. You're going to need them over the course of your season and into the postseason. And Brenton Doyle is a guy that could be your, like, on a contending team, could be like your 6-7 hitter, but also play elite level defense. I, I look at the Rockies and it's like anyone that has any sort of value should not be on your team.
Yeah, like there's no chance for the Rockies to really do anything this year, next year, the year after that. They're just stuck in this limbo. Like you just gotta admit it that you're
Yeah,
not a good team and start bottoming out. Like
yeah.
you need to do this now. And I think they've already basically started it. Like they're not gonna be winning anything anytime soon. And I think with how, the rest of this teams look like Jacob Stallings, Kyle Farmer. They have so many guys. The only yeah, like you said,
Trade,
the
trade.
the only guy with one WAR is Jake Bird. Like everyone else on this team is at like point 0.6, point 0.5, point 0.3.
Hmm.
No one's really doing anything on this team. You just got
Hmm.
to take what you have and just, sell off these assets. If there's no one else that's really even starting for them that's like would I even want that? Like Chase Dollander is the only good one, but he, like I said, it's a starting pitcher in
Yeah.
Coors Field most of the time. You're gonna get mashed, especially a young starting pitcher.
Hmm.
Like it's different being in the minor leagues where you're not playing in Colorado, you're not playing in Denver,
Hmm.
where the ball's gonna get sent to Zoltan every time it gets hit. It's not like playing in Albuquerque where
Yeah.
the altitude isn't as high. You're just kind of screwed.
Yeah. And, kind of back to, like trading off these guys. Like you look at Brenton Doyle and Jake Bird, for instance, like these are guys that have this year and then 3 years of arbitration.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about a pretty, like Brenton Doyle could get you two top 10 prospects. And I don't think that's that far-fetched to say. He's one of the best defenders in baseball. And I think for teams, that's good enough to trade some of your best prospects for. Like, as everyone says, it's prospects for parades.
Yeah.
I look at it like his arm strength is one of the best in baseball. Sure, he's not great, maybe covering all the field, but it's hard to run on this guy. And you look at a guy like Jake Bird who just throws absolute nails. You're telling me this type of player who has a 33% strikeout rate, yes, the walk rate just about 13%, not great, not amazing, whatever. Still, xERA of 2.42. I'm just saying, like, these are guys, like a guy like Jake Bird and Brenton Doyle could get you like four really, really good prospects. And I think with the way that the Rockies are, with Chase Dolander, with Zach Veen, with all these guys that are up and coming, anyone that's like 26 or older, just trade them. Because realistically, they're not fitting your timeline. Might as well max out the value that you could get for them
Yeah.
because there are teams like everyone could use a center. Hell, there a lot of teams could use a center fielder, and you can't tell me that there's one team that wouldn't want to use a relief pitcher that has the pitch mix of a Jake Bird, where it's slider, sinker, cutter. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I just don't think there's many other teams out there that are like uh that are in this bad of a position that the Rockies are in. They just gotta pull the
Yeah,
trigger. Like even teams like the White Sox, where it's like you have guys like Kyle Teal in the system, you have
yeah.
guys that can come up and give you some something to talk about. Who the hell is in the Rocky system that's really like blowing socks off of anyone? And like I know Zach Veen was there, he was on some of the list, Chase Dolander, like we said,
Like
but it's just
Charlie
like
Condon struggled at high A
yeah,
too.
it's really just been like, what are we getting out of this, man? Um,
Yeah, I agree with you.
yeah, but moving on, we'll talk about the last point is of the episode. We'll talk about the Seattle Mariners and
Bring
their torrid start to the season. They're
boom,
bringing the boom. They
boom.
are absolutely mashing baseballs. As of recording, they've hit the third most home runs in baseball, 45. They have the seventh most runs. They have 144, sixth highest OPS, third highest on base percentage. They're 15-5 in their last 20 games. Cal Riley has looked really good, and this is all without George Kirby, by the way. Basically, their ace and how good he's been. Um, it's been an insane start for
Mhm.
these Seattle Mariners. And coming into the season, we weren't really as high on them, but now here they are hitting the piss out of the ball and playing really good baseball.
I'll give a piss about nothing but the tide. Yeah, I know. I look at the Mariners and I'm just like, dang, I had the Rangers to win the AL pennant. I thought the Rangers were going to be this good. The two teams are meeting each other tonight. Rangers, please help me out. But rightfully so, we were kind of like, well, what's this team going to look like? Because offensively last year they were putrid. I mean, we're talking about like maybe just a inch above the White Sox in terms of offensive production, but Randy Arozarena, hasn't been great, you know, but he has 5 home runs.
Yeah,
And you look at it, big dumper, Cal Riley, 10 home runs in 28 games, especially for a catcher, is just ridiculous. Now, I think it's funny that he has 10 home runs and only 18 RBIs. Like, those numbers just like it just doesn't add up. But you look at it and like
yeah.
Jorge Polanco. Can we
Has
talk about him?
I
Like,
added him to my fantasy team, and I forgot I didn't start him because of Byron Buxton in the Minnesota Twins game being delayed, and I wasn't able to switch him out. And then he had two home runs on my bench, and I was upset about it.
yeah,
But
like Polanco was signed to like a small contract. Like, I
I,
don't think it was like a big deal that the Mariners signed him to. And like, if it wasn't for Aaron Judge, I feel like we'd be talking about Jorge Polanco. 9 home runs, 25 RBIs, a
yeah,
1200 OPS.
yeah, and taken. I figured this out. Uh, he's a switch hitter, right? But he is
Yeah.
only hitting from the left side right now because he has a hip injury, so he can't swing from the right side of the batter's box. He's literally only hitting lefty as a switch hitter, and he's still mashing. Like it's
Yeah.
insane that he's bro. Just make him left-handed hitter the rest of his career.
He
It looks
makes
like
so much money.
this has unlocked him. Like I
Yeah.
feel like instead of making him hit from the right-handed side where uh he's been okay, but now he's been not able to start against against lefties where he's hitting from the right-handed side just because it hurts to swing that way.
Yeah.
9 home runs, a 384 batting average, 259 OPS plus. He's already amassed as much WAR as he did this year as he had the entire year before.
Yeah.
Uh and last year he wasn't even that like last year he wasn't good. He had a
Yeah.
213 batting average. He was a below 100 OPS plus a 650 OPS for a guy who's normally supposed to, you know, hit for a decent amount of power, hit 33 home runs in 2021.
Hmm.
It's been
Yeah.
they got him on such a cheap deal, just kind of keeping him, and he's looked insane for them. He's looked really good.
Yeah. And one player who, I think we do need to talk about is Julio Rodriguez. Now, is it fair to say that he got a little bit of an overpay? Now, look, average annual salary comes out to like 18 million. So who cares really? But a 12-year deal, a
Yeah.
12-year deal and a full no trade clause in that contract. And it's basically a 14-year deal that can reach to almost 500 million through all these different incentives and bonuses for like MVP and whatnot. So it's like a 14-year, $500 million contract. Let's call it what it is for that. I remember there was one guy, I can't remember who it was, but he was like, is Julio Rodriguez the most overpaid player in baseball, or is that like the stupidest contract to give out? I think it's fair to say that as of right now, because ever since he signed that contract, these last 2 years offensively, he has been horrible. I think it's fair to say that. He
Yeah,
batted
for
207, batting 207 this year. He did bat 273 last year, which is okay, but to go from 32 home runs and 103 RBIs to 20 homers and 68 RBIs, and you only played 12 less games. Eh. And this year too, only
yeah.
4 home runs, 14 RBIs with a 681 OPS. Like, what's happening to Julio Rodriguez? It feels like he got the bag and just stopped trying.
It I will say for him, he's also one of those guys that starts off really slow to start the year. I feel like if I search this up, I feel like the numbers will back it up. I remember in 2023 having him on my fantasy team. He was atrocious to start the year, and I was like, "What the hell? Like, why is he so mid?" And then he always picks it up near August. I have a friend who's a Mariners fan, and
August.
yeah, I know
It's a
it's three
little
months
too
away.
late for
I,
that. Like I'm
I
sorry, it's a little too late to say, oh, he picks it up in August.
But he always has this torrid stretch in August where he'll hit like 10 home runs in August. And it's like, oh, wow, this is the Julio Rodriguez that we paid this much
Yeah,
money
too
for.
late.
Yeah. But he always brings it up by then. Like August of 2023, he hit 429, had a 120 OPS almost, 1197. An insane OPS. I'm pretty sure last year he had the same thing where he just has a hot August all the time. I don't know if they have like some kind of carnival going on in Seattle or something around that
Yeah.
time. Like we have Caravana, but I don't know if he has that same if they have that same kind of thing in Seattle.
Yeah.
Um, actually,
I don't
oh,
know.
last
I don't
August he
know,
wasn't
man.
as good. Last August he missed half the month. That's why he wasn't able to get hot.
I'm just saying, I'm looking at Julio Rodriguez and I'm just thinking overrated, just a little bit overrated because the contract and the commitment doesn't back what you're getting from him. And sure, a 273 batting average is cool, but like I don't really care about that because 793 OPS just tells me, you're hitting more singles than you're hitting doubles and extra base hits. So look, it's great that the Mariners are doing what they're doing, but if they want to have any sort of success in the postseason, Randy Arozarena and Julio Rodriguez can't be batting, 208 for Arozarena and then a 700 OPS for Julio. Like this pitching staff is good enough to win you a World Series. It's the offense that needs to do its thing.
Yeah, and one quick note before we go. Logan Gilbert was placed on the IL. I think it was yesterday.
Mm.
Um, and that's something really big for them. It's been either him or George Kirby have been like their best
Yeah.
two players or best two pitchers. And, losing someone like him is really important. Like he's been nails for them. Um, 44 strikeouts in 30 innings to begin this year, 13 strikeouts per nine as a starting pitcher
Yeah.
is not something to scoff at, folks. That is
Yeah.
insane. Only six walks, too.
Hmm.
Um, he's one of the best at the game in control and like strikeout ability. And
Yeah.
then so right now their starting rotation doesn't have either Logan Gilbert or George Kirby, and that's really rough for them right now.
Hmm.
Um, and we'll just have to see how they can go through this stretch. I think Kirby's supposed to be coming back soon. I'm not sure if he started his rehab outings. I think he might have. But yeah, like I said, this is a really tough stretch for them now. They really have to prove he hasn't started their rehab outings. But they're gonna have to go through this stretch without their two best starting pitchers and see what they do. Maybe both Luis Castillos can start picking it up. I still think that's crazy
Maybe.
that there's two Luis Castillos on the
Yeah.
same team that
Luis
are
F.
both starting pit. Yeah,
Castillo.
both starting pitchers.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, but that'll just about do it for this episode of the Breaking News Bears podcast. I once again want to thank my co-host Evan Davis. I once again want to thank you guys, the listeners. We'll be sure to talk about this and more about the MLB season in the next episode of Breaking News Bears. Be sure to like and subscribe.